Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. My name is Garnett Weber, and I'm one of the co-founders of itracks. Our webinar today is online discussion boards versus text-based online focus groups. We are very excited to present this. Over the past 20 years, itracks has conducted tens of thousands of online focus groups of various types, and we want to compare these two methodologies and share some case studies with respect to those. Presenting today, we have Kathy Fitzpatrick and Anne-Marie Sonmez. Kathy brings with her an impressive career in market research and extensive experience ranging from research design and field operations to client relationship management. She obtained a Bachelor of Science degree in psychology from Elmhurst College in Illinois. Kathy has over 30 years of experience in marketing research in the marketing research industry, where she has been a leader in both research and the sales facets of the business. In her various roles as a director, consultant, and vice president, she has over 13 years in market research, fieldwork research and development experience, and over 18 years of experience building extraordinary client relations across many companies and industries. She has a vast understanding of various research methodologies, both qualitative and quantitative. Anne-Marie Sonmez has been working with itracks for the past 3 years, supporting marketing and sales initiatives and managing key accounts. Prior to joining itracks, Anne-Marie worked in the telecommunications industry in a variety of roles. She has a Bachelor of Business Administration from Thompson Rivers University, majoring in marketing and minoring in international business. Anne-Marie loves to travel and learn about new markets. All right, we will now move into our webinar presentation. Feel free to ask questions in the question area of the GoToWebinar panel. We'll be happy to answer them at the end of the presentation. Go ahead, Anne-Marie.
Thank you, Garnett, for the kind introduction. Today we will be going through a scenario of why someone would decide to use an asynchronous methodology versus real-time. To break this down, we will first discuss the who and the what. So for the who, John is new in his role as a project director at a market research firm. We can see that his project scope and objectives are actually listed on the page here. So while I'm explaining who John is, please feel free to go over that information. So again, he's new in his role, and a travel agency has reached out and needs to determine trends in travel. As John really wants to impress his manager, he decides to do a focus group. He evaluated both online and traditional methods and determined that online was the best fit for this specific study. He knows he wants it to be primarily text-based and is open to different methods of answering questions. He does not know whether to have the discussion in an asynchronous manner or in real time. John decides to reach out to the itracks team to discuss his options. So for the where and when, there are many reasons to choose online. The biggest pro is there is no specific location to have to travel to, and for the researcher, there are no facility fees. The where will be in the comforts of not only John's home or office, but also for the participants who will be joining the discussion. In regards to the when, as online provides flexibility, it can be done at any time. We generally recommend that the groups are done later in the afternoon, as this allows more individuals to be available, especially for those that work the standard 9 to 5. As the board is asynchronous, the participant does have a bit more flexibility to log on whenever they are free. Now for the why. I will let Kathy jump into this piece on her experiences of why to choose one methodology over the other. Kathy, please take it away.
Thanks everybody for joining us. The role that I want to talk with you about today is kind of examining in a deeper level the differences between a discussion board and a chat text-based discussion. Both of them have their redeeming qualities and both are used for very different reasons. So what I'm going to do is kind of take you away from John's decision-making process for a few seconds and give you some of the things you may want to consider as you're building out your research methodology and design for a given project. The first thing you need to do is take a step back and really look at your research objectives. What do you want to learn? What does your client need to know? Or if you are the client, what kinds of things do you need to share across your organization to give this research project a good success? If you're looking for a deep dive, are you looking for quick concept evaluations? How critical is participant engagement amongst each other? Who are you recruiting? And what does their timing and their timeframes look like? So all of those things are things that you would consider in deciding between a discussion board and a text-driven chat. First, let's talk a little bit about the discussion board themselves. Generally speaking, a discussion board occurs over a period of 3 to 5 days. It can be longer, can be a tiny bit shorter, but that's a general sense of timing for a discussion board. In the context of a discussion board, you can have 20, 25 or more people discussing given topics, broken out by day, broken out by activities and expectations for the project. It allows you to go deeper with people because you have them for a longer period of time. So when you look at your objectives, you decide, do I want them to be out and about? Do I need to have something shared that would be quote unquote in the moment? So capturing those things using a mobile device that might lend itself to greater insights for your project. It has very reliable video capabilities, so your teams can actually see the person doing a specific task or even just introducing themselves via webcam, so you get a better feel for who the participants are that are participating in your discussion. You can certainly randomize questions. You can bring out different topics. As you, the moderator, begin to launch a discussion board, you can always add questions in based to what the participants are talking about. As a moderator in a discussion board, you need to be very present. You need to be there a lot so that you can capture input from participants as it happens, and you can certainly get all of that over time in a discussion board. That said, you can then look at the data that's coming in, and you can add topics based to responses. So the discussion boards can be extraordinarily flexible and can give your teams the opportunity over time to get to know not only the participants, but collect the data that's important to your research project. Next to consider would be a text-driven chat. How are those different than a discussion board? The text-driven chat is real time, so it occurs on a specific day at a specific time with a specific number of participants. You can include more people in a chat than you can, let's say, in a video chat, which only allows for up to 7 people. So a text-driven chat allows you to include upwards of 15 or 20 people or more, depending upon what it is you're sharing with those participants. It is very good for quick data collection. You can have your report instantly with a transcript upon the conclusion of that text-driven chat session. It's really good for quick turn projects. So if you need something answered very, very quickly, it's really only the length of the project would be driven probably by your recruit. How quickly can you find the correct people to participate? You also need to remember that it's great for low bandwidth. If you were talking about doing a lot of interaction with people that may be very rural, that might not have tremendous bandwidth, the text-driven chat uses the least of the bandwidth of all of our products, so you can certainly get those people connected and everyone will have a very seamless experience. It's really good for interactive polling, for concept testing. One of the biggest pluses of text-driven chat is making use of the virtual back room. It's extraordinarily engaging for your clients, for your internal employees, to be able to watch and see what participants are saying in response to the moderated questions. What we love about the back room and what our clients love about that back room is that people who don't normally, and this holds true for boards as well, people who don't normally get to travel or be present in a research project can certainly participate on your end and on your client's end as an observer. So people who are in product development, people who are in marketing, people who are part of your senior leadership team that may not be able to travel around the country, seeing a real-time, in-person data collection, for instance, at a focus group facility. These people then, using one of these methodologies, would have a great ability to interact with one another as they're watching the data collection happen. They're able to communicate with the moderator, and the moderator can then communicate to the participants. Never do the observers and the participants see one another. It's really the moderator who kind of holds center court between both of those parts of the platform. It is a highly efficient way using text-driven chat to cover a lot of content. A lot of our moderators love text-driven chat because they can have 20 people in a session, they can show concepts, they can do polling style questions, they can engage with participants and have participants engage with one another in that real-time mode. So that kind of gives you a good idea of the differences between board and chat. What are some of the ideal project types? Again, let's take a step back from John and his challenge and talk a little bit about what are good project types for these two type platforms. In the discussion board platform, you're really asking people to take you on a journey with them. It can be a group of people segmented by different qualifying specs in the same bulletin board. They can see one another, or you can divide them up by segments, however you deem the design should run. However, you can have them go in-home doing a usage test. So you could ship product and you can have the participants use a product in-home. You can have them show you their closet, their refrigerator, their pantry, their bathroom. You'd be surprised how many people using their mobile app would be willing to show you things like showering, cleaning washing their hair. It's always a source of amazement for me how people will share. Once they get talking, they love to share. You can have them do Shopalong Study. So if you need those in the moment decision-making process by using the mobile app, have people go out, do a shopping experience. You can direct that by giving them specific activities to do in store, or you could watch the whole process. First, show me creating your list, and then take me to the store with you. Show me what drives purchase decision. Ethnographic research is another really good study type for a discussion board. You're really kind of diving in with a specific person, and as well as a diary study. Generally speaking, in those kinds of projects, the participant does not really know there are more than themselves in the project, because all they're seeing is their input and the moderated probes that come from their input. Those are generally a little bit longer, but they do follow a journey, the process by which you're evaluating each different step of a particular objective that your research is planning to dive into. It allows for extraordinary video and media collection. We have great clipping, coding, and editing tools to create highlight reels that you can include in your reports. A lot of our clients will take some of the video from a discussion board, create a quick little clip and drop it into an email and send it off to their clients. Hey, this is the kind of fun things we're discovering about your participant or your product. It can be done with larger sample studies because our board holds up to 50 people and can include far more than that. You can have multiple bulletin boards, or you can have segments driven within an individual board. So you could have 3 segments of 25 people each. each one of those 25 people would only see each other. They wouldn't see the other 50 in the two other segments. You can build communities. Communities are long, ongoing. They could last a month, they could last a year. Either way, they are driven by an overall objective that a client might like to follow for an extended period of time. They're also really good for studies with millennials. And anytime you have this kind of data input, millennials are really driven and drawn by this type of methodology and love participating. Text-driven chats allow for that individual and group participation in a text-driven world. You can do customer immersion work, concept testing, advertising testing. It's great for sensitive topics. So when people want to talk about an individual illness, let's say, you can protect anonymity because there are no faces being shown. People can have their own avatar in which they don't have to use their own name. Terrific for quick turn projects, as we mentioned before. Again, low bandwidth is a real key driver. And again, studies with millennials, they're really good at texting and typing and responding to questions. I want to touch for a minute, a little longer on customer immersion work. When you have a customer or a client base and you want to know more about what the customers are thinking, what they're doing, what their perceptions are, it's not always all about what is happening in the main room. Because the text-driven chat has this interactive back room, the observation room, where your clients and observers and other people within your organization can view what's going on. The immersion studies work really well because you have a group of people in the back room who really don't get much interface with the client, with the customer. So the moderator can go back and forth between the main room and what's happening in the back room and be able to field questions that might not come up if it's more traditional back room on site somewhere in a focus group. So that kind of gives you a good idea of what the two different product and platform types can give you. And if, I don't think there's much more to say about that except, any design can be worked around to determine whether you want to do a discussion board or a text-driven chat.
So now that we have provided why we would conduct a study like this, it is time to check in with John. And it looks like now that he has more information, he is a bit confused on what would be best benefit for him. Let's keep the discussion going to ensure that we find the best solution for his upcoming study. So for duration, as we mentioned previously, one of the big differences between the two platforms is the duration. On average, a text chat group lasts about 90 minutes, where the average board is between 3 to 5 days. Even though the length of the board is longer, we believe that the participant engagement should last approximately 30 minutes a day, which would make it equivalent to the participation of a real-time discussion. Of course, either option can run as long as you would require. For instance, in some cases, we've had text chats last as long as 4 hours and boards or communities last for a year. So for both the board and the text chat platform, they could fit hundreds of people, but that does not necessarily make it the best option. Since the text chat is a real-time discussion, it is best for groups to have between 12 and 15 participants. This allows the moderator to be able to control the discussion, as well as not be overwhelmed by the number of responses coming into the group. For the board, we recommend between 25 and 30 individuals to participate. Again, this makes the moderator's life a little easier and allows them to engage with all participants in the discussion. Also, both of these options are qualitative in nature, which does not focus on the number of participants, but the quality of their responses. So the discussion themselves, they will look a little bit different, as you will see. So the text chat platform is separated strictly between the waiting room and the main room for a participant and a back room for the observers. We always recommend participants to arrive 15 minutes prior to the discussion occurring to allow the moderator to ensure all qualified participants are in the group. We can see this pre-conversation amongst participants and moderators within the waiting room. The participants will then be moved into the main room where they'll be able to leave the comments based on the topic that the moderator is leading. The board will be separated by daily activities. Participants will either be able to review all questions at once, or the moderator can preset the questions to only be open to the group on specific days. There are a few question types that are available within the board. A quick overview of these questions are as follows. Uploading documents such as images, videos, PDFs into the discussion, where participants can review and comment. Video uploads for the participants to share their experience via webcam responses. Multiple or single choice responses, and standard text responses. To fit our new video IDI platform, which eliminates the need for plugins and creates an enjoyable, seamless experience for both the moderator and participant. If you are interested in reviewing this, please reach out to your key account executive to set up a demonstration. So within both platforms, participants will only be able to see questions and media that is shared by the moderator and are able to interact with one another. The board, however, has the option to remove this feature and strictly have the participants and moderator interact on a one-on-one basis. This is generally done for sensitive subjects or if the discussion is best suited for an IDI mode. In some cases, that IDI mode would be best fit are examples such as medical, financial, political, military, and any case where privacy of the participants is required. So now jumping into the discussion guide, we can see that the guides are in a very similar outline. itracks did this so that if you have experience with one of our platforms, you feel comfortable within all. All of our platforms are as DIY friendly as you would like them to be, which allows you to be able to take control of any piece of your project you like. For the text chat platform, we have the questions pre-programmed into the guide. You can do an Excel import or copy the discussion from a Word document or manually prior to the group taking place, or while the discussion is occurring, uploading questions on the fly. The questions are split into different subgroups to keep the guide nicely organized. You can also see how nice and easy it is to post a question. Once a question is posted into the discussion, you will see a green check mark next to it. Within the text chat, you're also capable of posting multiple or single choice questions. Once the participants have all responded to these question types, the moderator has the option to share the results with the group. Each participant can expand the results in a separate window to be able to review. This is a great discussion point for the moderator to go through the results with the participants to see if the findings are what is expected. And more probing questions can be done based off of this. If you did want to add questions on the fly, as mentioned previously, this can be easily done by clicking the Add Question button. From there, we can review all the different question types that can be offered within the text chat, as well as adding polling style questions, whiteboards, and even links to websites. The moderator can also decide if the questions should be in uninfluenced mode. For the board, you can access the guide by clicking on the Project Setup button. The guide can be copied and pasted in the discussion from a Word or Excel document, or can be uploaded by the questions manually, similar to how we discussed for the text chat platform. The questions are all broken down by day, as indicated previously, and we are able to view the breakdown of each day by clicking on the question name. The moderator will also be able to choose when the questions are posted versus not, and we can easily see this by the participants can see the question by the green button that's next to the question type. And this can be easily switched. If you were having to upload questions manually, you would click on the Add Question button. This will pull up the outline of how the discussion will be displayed. First, you'll give the question a name. As a moderator, you could post a video of yourself. We generally recommend this for participants to leave a video of themselves. And you will leave a question in the text box. You have the option to add whiteboard media and polling style questions, and you can indicate to the participants whether to respond with text, video, or both, and whether the response is required or not. We also have 3 modes for the question within the board: regular, uninfluenced, and interview mode. So for the moderator's experience, I'm sure we have a few moderators in the discussion today, so I wanted to quickly touch on the moderator's experience altogether here. So as these methodologies vary quite a bit, I wanted to quickly outline these. For the text chat, the moderator is expected to be online the entire time. As mentioned previously, it's good to be in the group 15 minutes prior to the chat discussion to ensure that there's no issues with the discussion guide or the participants. The moderator will be expected to engage participants for the entirety of the discussion, as well as ensure the discussion is going in the direction that the observers or end clients may want it to go in. For the board, we generally say that the moderator logs in multiple times within the day. This is to ensure that all participants' responses are evaluated in a timely fashion. Because of this, the moderator will spend more time compiling information and probing within the board in comparison to a real-time methodology. As mentioned previously, the text chat platform will have an automatic transcript available at the end of the discussion. Moderators can also pull the board transcripts on a daily basis if they would like to have this daily results. The segmentation piece is only available for the board platform, as it'd be very difficult to segment with a real-time discussion. The segmentation tool is great for when you would like to ask specific groups questions depending on their grouping. We often say if the guide is 80% similar, then we have multiple segmentation with the board instead of having additional boards. This can be managed under user tabs within the board. We're able to see all of the participants in the board, their names, along with segments they belong to. Participants can belong to multiple segments. When we go back to the discussion, we can also determine which group the participant belongs to, as the segment will be listed right next to the participant's name. Perhaps you wanted to target specific segments with a question at different times. You could do this by adding a question in the guide, scrolling to the bottom of the page where it says Group Options. Upon clicking on this, you will see that all the segments that were under the user tabs. From there, you can target multiple groups in a question. The interaction between the groups will vary depending on the platform that is chosen. For the participants, the ways these can interact with one another is strictly through text. With board, however, they are capable of utilizing not only the text, but also video and audio. The observers, as Kathy mentioned previously as well, they're only able to interact with one another via text in both platforms. So transcripts for both board and text and board are conveniently located under the reports page. So I'm going to go ahead and show how that looks for the text chat platform. You will see there are a multitude of filters available to download, and all three rooms within the text chat are available for download within the transcript, along with all of the users and post types. You will also have the option to download the transcript in Word or Excel format. For today, I've chosen the Word format. We are able to review the date of the discussion within this document, along with timestamps, which room the discussion occurred in, who the participants are, and the actual discussion that has taken place. You are also able to see any media that was shared, such as links to videos and images, and graphs for the polling style questions. Within the board, the transcripts provided quite a bit more information, as not only does the discussion generally last longer, but there are many additional response types in comparison to the text group. Again, we are able to choose who is included in the posts. We are able to break down the questions based off of the segments that were created, as well as the daily topics. Similar to the text platform, Board can be downloaded in both Excel and Word along with text format. We provide these options for additional reporting, such as SPSS. To keep consistency between the two reports, I've downloaded the Board transcript into a Word document. As you can see, the navigation pane has pulled up, and we are able to scroll through the questions and responses. If I wanted to jump to a specific question directly, I can click on the heading and jump into the discussion data I'm interested in. And again, being able to access videos, images, and polls directly from the transcript. You're also able to pull any notes that were left on the participants' comments and videos. Lastly, I would like to quickly go over the video highlight reel. So this is specifically for the Board platform. Upon entering the video highlights, we're able to access all of the videos the participants have uploaded. From here, I can review the full-length video and create tags directly within the tool. All the categories and the color tabs next to it are interchangeable, and our team at Itsrex here is happy to have this edited for you at any time. As a moderator, I can tag and clip videos to my liking. In this case, we have tagged the video as a movie lover and left a quick description about the clip. Once I have completed clipping, sorry, I'm just showing how the start and end time can be adjusted from the tool here itself, and we could replay that as well. So once that's saved and closed, I can go to those categories to access all of those tags that we've created. We choose the category we would like to make a video highlight reel of and compile as many videos as we would like. Since I use the movie lover tag, I'm going to compile a video of that. And then from there, we would view and create the video. So you will have the option to choose to download the videos in MP4 video and MP3 audio, depending on the format you would like it in. MP3 format would be also used in the case of video was not accessible, or such tools as our telephone IDI platform. It is also a great security point for individuals who work in a specific industry or participants who may not want to be recognized, such as employees. Once the platform starts to download, the video will be queued until it is available to be viewed. In this area, you can easily download the videos to your computer or delete them completely from this tool. The videos can also be dragged and dropped directly into the PowerPoint presentation. While your initial video is still downloading, you can go back to the main area and build other videos with different categories and jump back into the downloads to see when they are completed. So just a quick overview of what was discussed today. Here are some of the differences between the itracks text and board platform that we touched on today in the webinar. So going over the text chat column, we will start with the first point. Real-time activities with real-time results is beneficial for those quick churn studies that you would require immediate results, which makes it similar to traditional focus groups. The great thing is that when compiling your reporting materials, there is no need for transcription as the discussion is strictly in text. You also have the capabilities of sharing media. For instance, if there was a video you wanted to share with your participants, you can easily do so and revolve your questions related to that media. The discussion guide, being pre-programmed, creates more flexibility for the moderator to focus on engaging participants. If the discussion is going in a different direction, the guide can be easily changed during the discussion. There's also a designated waiting room for the participants prior to the discussion where the moderator can greet everyone and ensure the group is ready to go at its starting time. The observer's backroom is great for the moderator and all end clients to interact during the discussion and creates great engagement amongst observers. You will also receive spontaneous responses from the text chat group, as this is a quick discussion and participants will have to write what is at the top of their mind. And lastly, it is very efficient for the amount of time that participants are engaged. So second platform is the board, and it's slightly different as we discussed, but you will see a few similarities between the two products. The biggest difference is that the board will last multiple days, which allows participants to log in at any different time of the day. This is great for national or international studies, as time zones generally do affect participation at certain hours of the day. If you are interested in reviewing results on a daily basis, the itracks platform allows you to do this seamlessly. Another big difference between the board and the text chat platform is that participants can share videos of themselves anywhere using our mobile app or over the desktop. Once these videos are updated into the platform, the moderator can edit, clip, and tag the videos and input these videos into a highlight reel. Rather than spontaneous responses, the board allows participants to think of the response, which provides a more in-depth comment. Also, since the discussion is longitudinal, the moderator has the flexibility to adjust activities and questions during the study. This may be required as opinions of participants may change throughout. So, lastly, to determine what John chose. So after providing all the information and pieces of both platforms that would benefit John, he decided that the text chat platform is the best option for this study, as he wants participants to interact in real time with one another and talk about their travel experiences, along with sharing new ads that his company has been working on. He also wanted to ensure that the travel agency and ad company were together and collaborating in the back room, as well as supporting the moderator in the direction that was required for this research. With an immersive experience, it creates empathy from the research partner's perspective to what the client may feel and want. So we do have a couple case study examples here that Kathy will be taking over. So Kathy, whenever you're ready.
So I'd like to go over 3 different case studies that we've prepared for your review today. The first 2 are board examples, and the third one is a chat example. The first we're going to look at is the mobile ethnography study. It was done via the board and was using a mobile device. The participants were nurses looking to understand, the client was looking to understand the educational process and usage of a medical injection device that nurses needed to communicate and share with their patients. The other participants were the actual patients themselves. By using the mobile device, they were able to share and show us how they use medical injection devices for their particular medical condition that they have. They were able, within the structure of the bulletin board, to be able to use quantitative exercises as well as qualitative exercise during the duration of the project. They were able, as I said, to use their mobile devices to record their feedback and submit videos. It was particularly successful in this case because being able to time the use for a patient to use a medical injection device, not everybody needed to use it at the same time. So it allowed for people to share an actual experience and use their injection devices as prescribed to them by their medical professionals. It was so that therefore the videos that were created by the patients were in real time, if you will, and in the moment, so that the client could actually see what was going on, what was working, what wasn't working, what was difficult for people. Likewise, for time-challenged nurses, again, working all kinds of different shifts and having free time, that was not the same across every person. Those particular people, the nurses, were able to participate in a time that worked for them and were able to then maximize their participation, being able to participate and share the education process that they need and that they use with these patient types and what their expectations were for the patients to use. Then the client was able to compare both and understand and have a deeper understanding of both the participant types. It was very well received, and the client was able to make some very good decisions based on the research. The next one is an example of a Shopalong study and an in-home use test. This was done for a major produce supplier to grocery stores. They needed consumer feedback for a product launch prior to an upcoming holiday. It was a new type of tomato, and they wanted data and information prior to the summer and prior to the 4th of July holiday when barbecues and such were being conducted by the participants. So the product was a tomato that had less juice, if you will, so better use for hamburgers and on relish trays, etc., that didn't have a lot of juice to change the taste or make buns soggy, etc. And they were also testing some new packaging. So using our online discussion board, the participants were asked to go out to the store, do some shopping. They were to purchase 2 types of tomatoes, record that in-store experience, and then go home and record themselves preparing the meal and also test the planned packaging. So they were given very specific instructions prior to going to the store, and they recorded all of that using their mobile devices. The client then was able to organize and test the in-store and the home environments to see exactly what was happening. If we were to do this in-store real time with the interviewer along. People don't normally have the same behavior that they have when they're doing this on their own. Allowing them to have that freedom to go shopping and cooking and recording all of that experience really gave our client that actual in-home and in-store feeling of what an actual shopper would do and how they would prepare this. They were then using those results to inform the project launch deliverables, so that the product launch deliverables, which was the new tomato, along with new packaging and how that packaging worked for them. And the final one is the example for the chat. This was a customer immersion project, one of my favorite studies that we've done. A UK-based energy company really had some overriding objectives that they had ongoing, and they actually still conduct this project on a monthly basis. They have a topic. They recruit customers to a chat, but there's a twofold objective here. One is a deeper understanding of what the customers think about a given topic. So every month it could change. One month it might be billing. One month it might be a new product they've been exposed to. The customers are in the chat. The moderator is going back and forth between the chat and the back room. The back room is a critical piece of the success of this project. This happens to be a global company, although it's based in the UK. They have global offices, and everybody is required and invited who would touch the objective of a specific month to participate in the backroom experience. So we have people in the back room. There could be hundreds of people in the back room. Sometimes this company sets up little lunch and learns, and they provide pizza, or if it's a middle of the night thing, they may ship coffee in or something, but they make it as inviting as possible for the back room. The back room contains people who don't typically get to see the market research events as they happen. So it could be the sales team, the marketing team, senior leadership, product developers, things of that nature. And what's happening is there's a moderator assigned to the back room it's almost like an ideation session where the people in the back room are hearing what the customers are saying. And in the back room, the exchange might be, how do they not know that we don't have this product? We just shipped out, we had a marketing campaign. So all of those questions are then formulated in the back room, and the moderator of that back room is then sharing those with the moderator of the actual chat session. And you get immediate feedback. So tell me a little bit more about this particular product offering. Seems like we do have that product. How is it communicated to you, etc. So there are some real good and in-depth results that come from these sessions. It's an immersive experience, creates empathy between both the customer and the internal teams. So employees of the company that have no idea that customers are suffering from a specific failure, or who don't know about things that could help them in their usage of their products and services. So the immersion part of it takes place on both sides, for both the customers who are in the chat session and for the employees and people within the organization on the observer side. So they get a lot of really good results, and every month there is a new topic that they discuss. And again, emphasis on a global solution for all of their internal employees as well as customers. So those are 3 big examples of case studies. We have others. Certainly, you can reach out to any of the itracks team for further examination of those 3 project types, or anything else that you might have questions about. Back to you, Anne-Marie.
Great. Thanks so much, Kathy. I appreciate that.
Yep.
And lastly, we just wanted to thank everyone for joining our discussion today. This was just a quick overview of both platforms. So if you're wanting a little bit more in-depth discussion about any of our platforms, so not just, the text chat or the board, do not hesitate to reach out to any of us at itracks. We are always happy to assist. Garnett, I believe now is the question period.
Okay, we do have a couple questions that people have inputted already. Feel free to add questions to the bottom of the GoToWebinar panel. The first question we have is, what is the maximum length of videos that participants can upload into an online bulletin board?
I can take that one. This is Kathy. What's remarkable about our ability to process video data, we've worked really hard, our development team, to compress and be able to have lengthy videos submitted. So the real number of minutes that can be included would be based to how much video data content the participant's mobile device can hold. So generally speaking, the videos can be anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes, but they can go much longer, particularly if you have a process that you're wanting people to do. So make this meal, show me how you wash your hair, might last longer than 5 minutes. If you're looking for behavioral data, you almost want to cover the entire process. You don't want to cut it off, show me 2 minutes of you, cleaning out your refrigerator, or 2 minutes of your pantry. The things that you're looking for might be unsaid. They might be things that they're doing that they're not even aware that they do all the time. So you're not only listening to what they're sharing with you, watching what you're doing, but you're looking for behaviors to help drive your data insights. So the answer is, as long as you want them to have it.
You mentioned that for the discussion board, you can sub-segment into smaller groups, say 3 segments of 25. Is it possible to aggregate the data on the back end, and can you aggregate data for polling questions?
Do you want me to take that one, Anne-Marie?
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to take it on, that's
Okay, so what I love about our filtering in the back end of a project is you have these transcripts and you have your segments built out. You will be able to aggregate the data across segments. So if you recall, Anne-Marie showed when you go into reporting and you look at the transcripts and you're deciding what you want to show in the transcript for a board, you can look at your participants by segment type, by activity part. There's many different ways you can segment that data. So if you only want to look at segment 1, you can do that. If you want to look at all 3 segments together, you can do that as well. You can aggregate data, and it makes it so that you have 3 separate segments, but they're all in one board, so you can aggregate that data. That is why when you're designing your project, oftentimes your itracks rep will say, well, how important is it for you to be able to aggregate your data? If it's important, then you want to have one board. You might have an additional fee if you have more than 50 people, but it makes it easy then to aggregate the data. If every segment is a silo unto itself and you don't need to aggregate across segments, then you could do 3 separate boards with fewer people in each one.
Great, thank you. All right, can the interfaces be branded to a specific market research company?
Absolutely, yes. I'm jumping in here, Kathy, now.
Yeah,
our team here at itracks is fantastic. So prior to even the discussion occurring, it doesn't have to necessarily be your branding. It could be the end clients, it could be whomever's, and it could be actually completely white labeled as well with no branding whatsoever. Our team is dedicated to creating the brand. So prior to the discussion actually taking place, you can review and see what the design looks like prior to the group starting.
Great. Does itracks have material available to help researchers present the various options to clients?
We do. We do have things that we can share with you, depending upon what you're looking to share with your end client. We can send out screenshots of particular parts of the different platforms. We can send to you a deck that would have a big picture look across all of the different platforms, or perhaps driving it to one single platform type. But we do have information that you can share back with your clients. We also, for every company that would like, we can generate what we call a Go account. There's no commitment on your part that, itracks is your single provider, but we can create a Go account, and within that account, we can build out for you a demo for a board and a demo for a chat, so that you can go in, play around with it. You can populate it with internal data, so you can have 3 or 4 people do a little chat, and then you can actually share that with your clients. We just ask that you don't do a real project using those demo accounts. Further, any of your itracks reps can actually lead a demo for your clients. So we can brand it however you would like to have it look for your clients, and we can lead the discussion on your behalf if you would like to do that.
Great. Yes. And another way to support that a lot of clients like is once they have their branded site or even the itracks, we can send screenshots that you can add to a proposal if that's helpful. All right. What kind of products have you done recently for text and discussion groups? So do you have some other types of product examples, I think is what they're looking at?
I'm not sure I understood. Can you repeat that question?
Just what types of products are being researched with text tests and boards and some recent projects that you've seen?
In terms of like a product use test, maybe?
Yeah.
Well, gosh, it runs the gamut to many different things. It could be a service that's been used. So we do have usability testing. So it could be something that is being tested in an online capacity. We've also done projects for, oh gosh, I don't know if I can think of any offhand, toothpaste. Go ahead.
Yeah, we've had lots of shop-alongs as well more recently, where participants are expected to go out and purchase specific products. I believe one more recently was a tomato sauce, so not like an actual tomato, but like a paste, I'd say, where participants had to, utilize it within their cooking. So there is an abundance of options, and I believe even in my career at itracks here, there's been lots of product testing, varying from, as Kathy mentioned, from produce to actual products to vehicles. So we have had an abundance of different types of product testing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think there's.
I've seen recently. We've seen some vacuum cleaner study. We've seen some pharmaceutical products. Lots of snack and beverage studies recently, and financial product study. All right. What is the typical respondent drop-off during the 3 to 5 days during a bulletin board study?
Generally, it depends on the recruit itself. So generally speaking, we could touch on incentives. Generally speaking, if you provide a high enough incentive, then participants feel more engaged in the discussion itself. Another great tool that we have as well is, being able to email broadcasts within our itracks platforms as well, which helps drive engagement. So it just depends on how you're approaching it, not only, again, utilizing those tools and incentivizing, but how the recruitment piece was taken care of as well.
And it also is driven by moderator engagement. I can't point that out enough. If a moderator is simply using text and posting and appears to not be very engaged, the participants likewise will not be very engaged. We find that when a moderator uses their own webcam to post videos and ask questions and is infrequently with follow-up questions, and then coupled back to what Anne-Marie said, making sure that the incentive is enough to keep people engaged, you're better off paying a high incentive than trying to reach another group of people if you have a higher dropout rate. So you balance the design with moderator engagement with the level of incentive, and the drop-off rate is really pretty low.
Yes, I can comment on that as well. If someone has engaged in the first day of the study, there's a very high probability that a very high percentage complete, say, a 3 to 5 day board. Where we see a little more drop off are the really long-term ones, so if it's going for several months. And so in those cases, studies will often build in a bit of a refresh program where you'll bring in some new participants to replace those that have dropped out.
Yeah.
And there are some features within the software where you can easily filter people that haven't responded within the last day or a couple days, or people that have unanswered questions. And you can, just with a few clicks, send a probing reminder email to them that that there's still some unanswered questions within your study. All right, what incentive amount is offered for a bulletin board? Is there a required amount of participation before the incentive is paid out?
That's really a good design question. And it also is very driven by who it is that is participating in the bulletin board. So perhaps what is the incidence of the people? How hard is it to find them? What level? If, let's say it's B2B, what's the seniority level we're looking for? Is it general consumer? You can assume in a general consumer study for a bulletin board, you can assume maybe $25 per day. So for a 3-day board, $75 seems to be a good thing, a good round number to consider. However, if you're talking to CEOs or you're talking to doctors or nurses, that incentive for 3 days could go up to $200, $250 or more. If you're looking for a consumer that has to use a specific brand, that's a specific age, lives in a specific part of the country, so a much more difficult person to find, that incentive would then also go up. You might want to be paying them $125 or more for a 3-day engagement. Generally speaking, we pay participants at the conclusion of a study. If there's going to be a certain amount of data collected and then an incentive paid to that end, that's something we discuss before the project starts. It's not something we typically recommend. We recruit people on the assumption that they will conclude the entire project, not get paid a certain amount for a certain amount of days that they've done work. Because then people feel like, oh, you know, if I don't feel like doing it tomorrow, I get $50 instead of $75. So we do encourage the full participation before an incentive is paid. Anybody else want to add to that?
No, that's great. And we thank you very much, Kathy. We are at the end of our time today. Thank you all for attending and joining in. We really appreciate you taking the time to discuss our topic today. And any questions that we were not able to get to, we will definitely follow up with you after the webinar. And we wish you all the best in your future research. Thanks, everyone.